Imagine this. You're standing on a narrow mountain pass overlooking the fog-covered cliffs of the Amalfi Coast. Dawn hasn't even broken yet, but there's a glow cutting through the darkness, a deep crimson streak pulsing like a heartbeat. Then you hear it, a sharp metallic growl followed by a rising, almost operatic scream. That sound? It's not a Ferrari. It's something far stranger. Something most people never believed Alfa Romeo would dare attempt. Because this is the 2026 Alfa Romeo Alfetta in Rosso Passionale, and by the time it winds its way up the final curve, you realize either Alfa has completely lost its mind, or this is the moment Ferrari gets a new rival, and it's wearing the wrong badge. But here's the controversy. The Alfetta isn't trying to imitate Ferrari. It's trying to beat it at its own philosophy. Passion over perfection, emotion over precision, art over physics. And yet, despite all the hype, despite the headlines calling it a budget Ferrari, and yet, despite all the hype, despite the headlines calling it a budget Ferrari and a V6 revolution, there's a flaw buried inside this machine. A flaw Alfa hopes you won't notice. One that could make or break this entire comeback story. And don't worry, we'll get there. Before we dive in, if you're into cars that aren't afraid to break rules or challenge the legends, hit that subscribe button. We go deeper, question harder, and bring you the stories the brochures conveniently skip. The first time you actually see the 2026 Alfetta, it almost feels like Alfa Romeo took a sculpture from an Italian art museum, lowered it by 2 inches, then set it on fire. The front fascia is dominated by a reimagined tri-lobe grille, sharpened to a more aggressive point, flanked by blade-like LED DRLs that sweep outward like angry eyebrows. The hood dips low, Ferrari low, revealing muscular twin vents that pulse warm air when the engine exhales. From the side profile, the Alfetta sits like a coiled cat ready to pounce. The roofline arcs into a tapered fastback rear, and the deep body sculpting creates shadows that move with the light, almost like the car is flexing. The 20-inch vortex-cut alloys twist in a way that makes them look fast even when parked. And the color, Alfa's signature red, doesn't just shine, it glows. Under direct sunlight, it looks like molten glass drifting over carbon fiber. At night, it turns deeper, moodier, like a glass of wine just poured. The rear is a showstopper. A seamless LED bar, quad exhausts tucked inside a diffuser that looks almost illegal, and a subtle ducktail spoiler that whispers, "I can do this all day." The Alfetta doesn't mimic Ferrari. It dares Ferrari to look in its rearview mirror. Slide inside, and it hits you instantly. Alfa has finally nailed the cockpit. The cabin greets you with full-grain leather, stitched in a pattern inspired by classic racing gloves. The center console tapers upward toward the driver, like a command center, finished with a brushed aluminum spine that feels cold, expensive, mechanical. The seats? Deep bolstered, slim, sculpted. Something between luxury lounge and race bucket. You sink in and feel locked into the drive. Ambient lighting runs like a thin neon ribbon along the dash, changing from red to white, depending on drive mode. Then there's the tech suite, a floating 12.5-inch curved driver display, paired with a 10-inch central touchscreen that tilts slightly toward the driver. Because this car doesn't care about passengers, it cares about pilots. Wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, over-the-air updates, and a Harman Kardon 14-speaker surround system turned specifically for Alfa's signature exhaust frequency. Even the engine start button sits on the steering wheel, like a subtle jab at Maranello. And one unexpected touch? A small toggle labeled Cuore Sportivo that tightens throttle sensitivity, boosts artificial induction sound, and sharpens steering feel. It's Alfa's way of saying, okay, now we're serious. Under the hood, the 2026 Alfetta carries a 3.0-liter twin-turbo V6, pushing out an estimated 487 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque. Those aren't just numbers, they're sensations. The 0 to 60 happens in a blistering 3.6 seconds. But what you really feel is the mid-range surge. It's the kind of acceleration that pins you to the seat, forces a smile you didn't plan, and makes the road ahead feel like a runway. Handling is unmistakably Alfa. Agile, alive, slightly unpredictable in the best possible way. Rear-wheel drive, torque vectoring, and a lightweight chassis make the Alfetta dance through corners rather than bulldoze through them. Despite the theater, the Alfetta isn't ridiculous. Dynamic cylinder deactivation helps it reach around 26 miles per gallon combined, and highway cruising stays impressively calm thanks to the long-legged 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. It's compact but not cramped. At roughly 178 inches long and 73 inches wide, it fits into daily life. The trunk offers enough space for 2 carry-ons, or, let's be honest, 1 weekend bag and a set of track tires. ADAS Level 2 driver assist comes standard. Lane centering, adaptive cruise, automatic emergency braking, all tuned with a gentle hand rather than intrusive corrections. Alfa backs it with a 4-year warranty, finally acknowledging that Italian passion needs American reassurance. The biggest drawback, the moment of truth. So here's the flaw I teased earlier. For all the beauty, all the power, all the swagger, the Alfetta struggles with heat management under aggressive driving. Hard track runs lead to noticeable power fade. Not catastrophic, not dangerous, but enough that enthusiasts will notice. It's a performance car that sometimes gets too passionate for its own good. If you live in a hot climate or plan to track it every weekend, you'll feel it more than most. The obvious rival? The Porsche Cayman GTS. The Cayman offers precision, repeatability, German discipline. The Alfetta counters with emotion, drama, Italian soul. The Porsche is the scalpel. The Alfetta, Price-wise, Alfa undercuts Porsche by several $1,000s, positioning the Alfetta as the more romantic and riskier choice. Looking ahead, Alfa's electrification plan means the Alfetta might be one of the brand's last combustion masterpieces. In 3 to 5 years, this car could represent the final chapter of Alfa's pure gasoline passion before the brand pivots toward hybrid and EV performance. So, is the 2026 Alfetta truly a Ferrari fighter? In spirit, absolutely. In raw consistency, maybe not yet. But in emotion, in drama, in sheer unapologetic soul, it might just beat Ferrari at its own game. Now I want to know what you think. Would you take the risk for Italian passion or stick with German precision? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like button, and subscribe for more deep dive breakdowns into the cars that dare to be different. And trust me, you're going to want to be here for the next one.